Hello friends, welcome to yet another tutorial video among the Pixlpal firmware series. This video will be an extension of the write text app example which we explained in the previous video. We will be introducing some other parameters within the write text API, either fixed text, center text, or scroll text. The additional parameter is the background color of the text you wish to write on the Pixlpal screen. In the last tutorial, we showed how you can set the color of your text. Now you may want to write that particular text on a background. How do you go about doing that? To achieve that, during the initialization of your fixed text or center text object via the constructor, you simply introduce an additional parameter or initializers to the variables within the text class, whether fixed text or center text. That additional parameter is the background color. I'll give this purple. So we expect to see a white text in a purple background. Now, you should know that the background actually appears during the second attempt to write the text using the same text object. So here we have a first attempt, which will write sweet field. We will use the same object to write another text. And that same text will appear at the specified coordinate, since that is what is set for that object. Now I will change the text. I will simply write hello world. Yeah. Now the background color will appear during the second attempt to write using the same object. In order to demonstrate that, I will introduce a delay of about 5 seconds. So 5,000 milliseconds gives us 5 seconds. What we expect to see in this application when we run it, sweet field will appear with white color. After about 5 seconds, the text should wipe and be replaced by hello world with the same white text color, however, on a purple background. So I would go ahead and write or run the application. Now I would compile and flash and monitor using this fire button. The application is compiling. Within our main, we have the MTB launch app, which will launch the example write text app upon successful build or compilation. We have flashing going on. Before the flashing, we had an active application running. It's called Studio Light. The essence of the app is to use the Pixlpal display as a source of light of different shades or color or tone. You can set it from the mobile app. You can have a fixed color, or you can have multiple colors that circle around. Now we have sweet field displayed in white text. About 5 seconds after, we have hello world written with a purple background. Now the reason for that, I would mention before we introduced the third parameter or the background color parameter. The actual default is black for text that don't specify the background color. Now, the reason why this is written during the second attempt is because typically when you want to write text on a colored background, you first of all draw the background on which the text will be written, after which you go ahead and write the text whose coordinates aligns with within the background which has already been drawn or specified. A typical application that you can see this demonstrated is the Pixel Art clock. I would launch that so you can see what I mean. The application should launch on the Pixlpal display shortly. Okay, we have it. You can see that the scrolling text has a background that is blue, irrespective of the fact that it is scrolling. Now, the background was written before the attempt to scroll the text began. This is done. This is the reason why it's during the second iteration that the text background appears. During the first attempt to write text, what appears is just the text alone. That is, the spaces within the text are not tampered with during the text writing. The original color there are maintained. Only the actual text or pixels which will represent the text based on the text color, only those are changed during the first attempt to write text. Now, the second attempt to write text, of course, the text characters would have changed. As a result, the background has to be refreshed in order to write a new text without having a more or less a clash between the old text and the new text. So that's that about background colors. I would equally mention among the text writing APIs, we have an API if you wish to specify a particular text with a given color. Here for the example text, the color we specified is purple. However, if you want to change the color while writing a new line of text, you can do that on the go by using, okay, I will introduce a delay so we can see that. You use the API write colored string. So example, fixed text, MTB, write colored string. Here you can, okay, let's see. You can write a new text with a different color using the same objects. You can equally specify the background. Let's use a different background. This time we would use yellow. So you use the API write color string. Write your text color, your background color. You can take out the background color and the last background color is maintained. However, for this, we would simply specify a different background color. Now I would run this and we'll see this in action. We have text compilation in progress. Okay, we have successful compilation. The flashing should be done in less than 30 seconds, and we should see our application appear. After this, I will be introducing, still in this video, how you can manipulate a particular text object or update a text object from outside the function or the application task function. Your application, or before we go back, let's describe what is going on. Yeah, we can see the background color has been updated to yellow. Now, as I mentioned, when you want to use background color, you initially write or draw the background using your shapes, the shapes API. You draw your background before you draw your text on the background. Moving on to the additional API or text writing method, which I was talking about a few moments ago. You may have a very complex application in which you want the text variable to be updated by multiple functions, which might be in different files or the same file. How you go about that is to make the variable or object global rather than it being local to the task function. So in order to do that, you simply take the object declaration out of any one function and make it a global variable, or make the scope global. However, at this point, it has to be made a pointer rather than an object. So we would be creating a fixed text pointer, which would maintain as example fixed text. However, the initialization will be done after the app initialization within the write text app task or function. So you simply make this, or you initialize it to a null pointer. We would equally introduce this macro in order to make this variable to be stored in the external RAM, thereby saving valuable internal RAM. In order to initialize this same variable or pointer to our object, you simply do this within your task function or application task at the top immediately after initialization. It can be done before or after, but traditionally you simply can do this after the app initialization statement. Copilot has already attempted filling this, so I would accept that. What you simply do is example fixed text equals to new, then a constructor which will construct the object and assign it to, or assign the address of the object to the example fixed text pointer. This statement is correct. However, to use this variable, we have to convert from a dot operator to an arrow operator in order to use a pointer or to dereference a pointer. I'll do that for all the variables. Now, after doing this, you've just dynamically created a text object which you have to free. It's a resource you've created on the heap. You have to free it when you no longer have use for this variable. In order to do that, just before exiting your application, you delete the memory occupied by that object or variable. Copilot have suggested, so we'll simply accept. So you do this just before you exit your app or before you call the delete this app API. So we'll do delete example fixed text. What this does is to free the memory for other uses. So our application is ready. I would go ahead and run the app. It should produce similar demonstration or effect as when we had the variable local to the right text app task or this particular function here. I would go ahead and compile the application. Okay, compilation is in progress. That should be done in a short while. So far, we have no errors. Okay, compilation is successful, no errors. Flashing is ongoing. Let's give that about 20 seconds. Okay, compilation is done. We have device initialization ongoing. Now we have sweet field, which is the very first attempt to write text. This is followed by hello world, and the background at this point is written. After about 5 seconds, we have the new background with the new text color, writing welcome to Pixlpal. That is it for this video. And these are the various APIs or techniques depending on the application requirements for writing text to the Pixlpal display. Thank you once again. I'll see you guys in the next one.